What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering, and happy 2021.
You. I hate you.
A year in which I plan to be all gas, no break. I've gotten a lot of ideas floating around up here in the old noggin about ways to improve my content in 2021 and to improve my own life a little bit. You know, dropping a few LBs would probably be a good idea. But today we got the news, and it is rare. Exceedingly rare in a world where mega huge super corporations are all too quick to get on their knees and accept the Chinese goo into their face, where a game developer will stand up against calls for censorship. It is seemingly even more rare when a game developer is willing to stand up against the screeching masses online of ugly people who don't like seeing beautiful people in video games. I don't really know any other way to describe it, but these people are ugly. Maybe not on the outside, but they definitely are on the inside. Now, Top Hat Studios dominated the headlines over the weekend by standing up against demands to have their game called a Sense, a Cyberpunk ghost story, censored by Nintendo. And they had probably one of the most absolute Chad responses any video game company's ever had, probably in the history of video games. Top Hat Studios refuses to censor its game after receiving threats. Sense, a Cyberpunk ghost story publisher, Top Hat Studios rejects censorship demands in the face of morons online. Since announcing the release of the game on the Nintendo Switch, publisher Top Hat Studios have received a staggering amount of demands that the studio censor its latest title. Imagine being a human and demanding that a video game be censored. Now, you are welcome to criticize, but to demand its censorship in a game that you don't want to play seems really bizarre and really sad. Like, you don't just lick the boot, you are the boot. And their response was awesome. The game will not be censored. We categorically refuse. It's a side-scrolling horror game set in 2083 Neo Hong Kong that released on Steam back in August. In fact, a friend of the channel, Count Dankula, I believe, is actually in this game. Now, soon after announcing its plan to support the game to the Nintendo Switch, the publisher was met with censorship demands from outraged consumers. Well, they really aren't consumers, are they? While Japanese games like the Final Fantasy VIII Remaster often face censorship in some fashion before their Western release, Top Hat Studios has made that its anti-censorship stance clear in its official Twitter statement. In the face of terrible things ranging from review brigading to going after distributors, Top Hat Studios responded by defending the creative freedoms of its developers in order to protect the integrity of its titles. The Vocal Group, attempting to intimidate the publisher, has cited a variety of seemingly unfounded claims surrounding Sense, a Cyberpunk ghost story, including the game being way too spicy, encouraging bad behavior, and breaking law. By the way, none of which is true about the game. I've heard from Count Dankula directly, who's played the game. It's none of these things. And you know what? I've had my Switch. Look, I mean, like, there's literally dust. You probably couldn't see that, but it's literally dusty. I feel like I'm going to buy this game now. Now, the game received an M rating, shocking, for a seemingly minor offenses anyone could find in a PG-13 movie: blood, gore, suggestive themes. Top Hat Studio sci-fi survival horror game simply draws inspiration from the transhuman dystopic themes that other cyberpunk titles like Cyberpunk 2077 are beloved for. Censorship has become a hotly debated topic among fans and developers over the past few years. This is via Game Rant, by the way. There are those that see it as harmful to creativity, so you mean those that are right, and experimentation among developers, while others, like Atelier, Ryza 2, Lost Legends, and the Secret Fairy producer, Junzo Hosoi, see it as a useful tool that allows titles to fit into any market. Well, I mean, that's fine, but you're still harming the creativity of your developers if you do that. Prior to the backlash, the New York-based Top Hat Studios had received nothing but support for its ghost-busting adventure since a successful Kickstarter campaign in 2018. Since a cyberpunk ghost story follows Mi Lin Mac as she attempts to solve a century-old mystery hidden within the ruins of the Chongqing apartments. Players are tasked with exorcising demons rather than combating them in an attempt to help them pass on as they investigate supernatural maelstrom of Chinese folklore. The Kickstarter campaign passes $10,000 funding goal in just 30 days, receiving $60K from over 1,000 backers. This is going to be great. I know that so many of you are going to back this game now, and I really appreciate it. In a time when we can play literally any game, anywhere, anytime, anyhow we pretty much want, taking time to support studios that stand with their developers, stand against censorship, is an important way for us to spend our money if we want more like them. Review brigading has resulted in quite a bit of negative feedback from major IPs, Monster Hunter World, blah, 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 blah. Now, let's actually look at some of these things. Here's Top Hat Studios themselves saying, actually, why am I not following them? We originally did not want to make this post as to not accidentally incite a search for these posters and cause further issues. However, as they are now industry adjacent people slandering, gaslighting us as liars, we've compiled a sampling from Twitter, Facebook, and email. Skepticism is healthy in an industry, but it is not universally applied. Not only were many of these comments actively findable in under 10 seconds to verify, but many, quote, curious individuals seem to have a vetted interest in slandering us liars because of their connections. We don't blame people for being skeptical, but keep this energy toward other claims. This isn't a marketing campaign. The game was released 5 months ago. This is a preemptive response to what we saw as a rising ridiculous spread as lies aimed at us. We can play semantics, but if you don't understand why a response to such is needed, you're willfully obtuse. We couldn't let false, hateful information spread and also wanted to reinforce our stance against creative infringement. It certainly got bigger than we expected. With that said, we appreciate sincerely the overwhelming support, really. As we said, we don't want to make this post, but we aren't going to allow people to spread lies, no less from those with a vetted interest in calling us liars. We aren't changing Sense's content. You see a lot of these posts. Disgusting inthal garbage. End yourself for giving these right-wing bundles of sticks a platform. Hey, Nintendo. It's not a bad idea to let your devs out of their caves occasionally interact with actual human females. It looks like the only women they've ever known is anime, spicy anime. This is just unbelievable. What's wrong with you, Nintendo? This is really sad. Really, really sad that more than even one person would write these kind of statements. The idea that you are so willing to accept the boot of censorship that you actively seek to enforce it yourself as a private citizen is absolutely mental. Nintendo dedicates itself to promote a male gaze spicified version of woman. I feel for the young girls starting to realize how objectified their bodies are. Yeah, right. I'm sure. I just played Golden Axe this weekend. One of the main characters is a shirtless Conan-looking guy. Guys definitely don't get objectified at all. It's so ridiculous. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with having beautiful protagonists or really any characters in your video games. In fact, it just sells better. Now, if we go back to their original statement, this was one of the chattest mic drops I've ever seen. Official statement regarding calls demanding censorship of Sense, a Cyberpunk ghost story. Our commitment to our audience and to developers is we never will infringe on creative freedom or expression. Let us be clear. We will not censor the game because of self-centered crowds who care solely about grandstanding. We categorically and absolutely refuse to restrict creative expression. Creators should be allowed freedom to express themselves, particularly when it's an expression of a subculture that they've been immersed in. As a Cyberpunk game, Sense uses imagery and themes relating to the future. With that said, we expect that this is lost on those attacking the developer for being, quote, harmful or somehow inflicting pain. Those who believe words or images inflict violence should perhaps stop spurting their own hateful, false rhetoric and also cease condoning self-deletion threats to those they disagree with. We reject any and all aforementioned brazen characterizations of the game and would like to reiterate that our principles against tampering with creators' expressions. We would also like to reiterate that this game is rated M. This is not an AO game, nor have any laws been broken, as some social media commentators have ridiculously claimed out of their own bias. This game's rating reflects the target audience, and yet this fact is lost on those who have been led by a will to blindly crusade against their false perceptions. Once again, Sense, a Cyberpunk story, is rated M for a reason. The game will release as planned and without censorship on January 7th, 2021 for the Nintendo Switch. It can be pre-ordered and preloaded now on the Nintendo eShop. The game has passed QA on other platforms, and release dates are being decided. I mean, why don't you take 2 seconds and check the threats they posted? You sure do junk. Oh, yeah, actually, I can't. Of course, I can't see all the replies from censorious game urinalists. How every publisher should act. I will wait too. Thanks for informing me. You know, this is great. I'm buying this game to show my support for the statement. Much respect. Good for you. There is an audience for people that are willing to stand up and defend freedom of speech and expression. And just like, you know, there are games that I don't like, I would never demand that they don't be released or demand that they be censored. I would demand maybe people don't buy them if that's what they want. You can look at Nintendo Life. Look at these. Yay, another game where women have massive bobs for the sake of it. How awesome. Don't play it then, right? These are the same people that say, oh, you didn't like She-Ra? Don't watch it. It wasn't for you. Oh, you don't like Big Mouth? Oh, don't watch it. It's for weirdos. Okay, fine. You know what I mean? Just don't. This is an age where YouTube, I'll finish on this. YouTube literally called WAP a stunning and brave song about female empowerment. We live in an age where being a woman and dressing like that and having your junk all hanging out is worshipped. But drawing cartoons that look like that is not okay. Absolutely pathetic. Good on you, Top Hat. I will be buying your game, and perhaps I will be even streaming it. I wish I could see. Oh, wait, maybe I should be able to see. I'm curious which journalist this is, quick. Oh, Ryan Brown. Okay. Game news curator. Oh, from Super Rare Games. Of course it's Super Rare. This is a far left company. Was there a big demand for being censored, though? Yeah, there was. It got ridiculously out of hand for this title. I mean, they posted hundreds of examples. You could look at the actual comments in the Nintendo Life piece here where you have hundreds of people demanding. Good on you, Top Hat Studios. Keep it up. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.